Welcome to The Green Pretenders,
a sustainably challenged podcast.
My name's Sian.
And I'm Simon, and this episode we're actually recording out of self-isolation.
We sure are. This is surreal, isn't it? I've got headphones in and a mic in front of me and I'm sitting in my kitchen. Where are you, Simon?
I'm sitting in this little recording studio that I built. I'm sitting between my clothes, really.
Paint me a picture.
So I'm tucked in between a very nice leather jacket that I haven't worn in ages. And in front of me are all my lovely shirts, some of which you have... one of which you have seen in the charity shop episode. So yeah, I'm in between all my lovely clothes and have my headphones on. I have a headband around my ears so we can't hear any noises. It's lovely.
You've made a real makeshift home studio there in your cupboard.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of maybe what this episode is about a little bit, is about getting creative and trying new things because we're in this weird pandemic.
Indeed. So listeners, for context, obviously we all know what's happening. There is a global pandemic, and in the UK right now we are on lockdown. The restrictions are that we can go out once a day for exercise and to the shops as rarely as possible. And otherwise we need to be inside. So we are, what is it now, a week and a half into the lockdown?
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
And this is a very unique experience. It's kind of unprecedented, isn't it, for our generation to be going through something like this. Simon, how are you feeling?
I'm actually okay. I can say that I feel well, and I think this is worth a lot, and I think it's hard work to get myself to this place, but I'm kind of proud that I am feeling well. How are you?
Very up and down, I guess, because I'm not really a self-motivator. I really need routine and other people's expectations to get me to get my arse in gear with things. So left to my own devices like this, oh my lord, it's very hard to not just sit around watching Netflix 24/7. So yeah, ups and downs. I have little bursts of productivity, but I can say that despite your advice in our last episode to get outside more, I haven't actually left the flat in a couple of days now. So I need to get outside.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Because when we go outside, I certainly feel like I'm a little bit naughty, like I'm not supposed to be there. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you see other people, you're worried that they're going to think that you're shirking the rules or that you're cheating.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I went out, last week, I just wanted to go for a walk because I didn't have the energy for a run. And I was saying to Dave, my partner, I was like, do you think should I wear running gear and trainers to go on the walk? Because otherwise people aren't going to realise that it's my one outing and they're going to think that I'm just walking around. So I wanted to sort of like make it known that I was doing exercise by wearing running gear for a walk. It was just a big overthink. But you're right, you feel naughty.
Yeah, it's very strange. I think when I do go out, it's like you suddenly liberated from the shackles of your confinement. It's so bizarre.
Are you feeling like you're noticing things differently when you're out and about now? The fresh air and nature and things?
Yeah, I really notice bird song. It's quite striking now.
Yeah, do you think the bird song has actually increased just because there's less human activity outside? Because I've noticed the bird song as well, but I couldn't tell whether the bird song has changed or whether we're just more still and more tuned into it.
Mm-hmm. And there's less noise around us, maybe. It's quieter. Overall, it's just quieter.
Yeah, it's funny as well how quickly you get used to that, I think. Already, not hearing the traffic noise has just become a new norm. It's going to be so weird when it all comes back. It will be a sort of cacophony, overstimulation, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think so too, yeah.
How has it affected your routine and your indoor time?
So, because I was freelancing anyway before that as well, it's kind of... There's a lot less cycling. And that's something that I really miss. I really miss just like getting on my bike. And I know that theoretically I could do that as my one outing per day. I could just get on my bike and just cycle around. but it's weird when you don't have anywhere to go. Like, you feel like, it doesn't make sense to be doing this. So I don't. So I definitely miss that. It has affected that. But so I teach German online now. I've moved all my classes to Skype or Zoom, and I'm very grateful for that my students went for that and didn't sort of just drop me or drop the lessons. But yeah, I've sort of gotten into a nice little routine with my housemates. So I get up in the morning and I try and exercise then and there. So either go out for a run, or today I exercised indoors actually, because I felt like I didn't want to go outside. Isn't it also weird how nice the weather's been?
Yeah, especially last week. The universe was trolling us hard. I feel like it was that taste of spring and summer that we've all been looking for so long.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah. So then I exercise, then I try and be productive. If I don't have lessons, I'm really trying so hard to keep myself busy, but I'm not sure that I'm doing it the right way. I mean, I know there's no right way, but do you know what I mean? Like, at the beginning, especially in the artists or, creative circle on social media, all of a sudden it exploded. And everyone was suddenly like, do this masterclass, this exercise, we are on Zoom now, we do it online, blah blah blah, here's your daily schedule, here's what you should do, here's 5,000 books you should read, 10 languages you should learn right now. And I was like, I was dumbstruck, like, could not deal. I was overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? There's a lot of blogging going on of, how to be productive and all the things we can create and achieve in this gift of time. But it is overwhelming. I agree with you completely. I actually saw a good thing the other day that was like, we're not working from home. We are at home trying to work through a pandemic. So it's not just like gifted time. It's a very unique situation.
Yeah, definitely. And so just finishing up my sort of daily routine a little bit. I meet my housemates for lunch and I meet them for dinner, and these are like two things that now I really rely on. I need that social interaction, but then also the me time I have in between.
Did you used to eat with your housemates that regularly, or is this something that's come out of the situation?
It's really come out of the situation because one of my housemates actually used to go to the office every day, and my other housemate used to work in a shop, in a charity shop actually, and so it's a unique new situation that we're all at home. But I think we're definitely making the most out of it in that sense. Like limiting the time that we spend together, I think, is key to maintain just a normal and really good, and it is a very good relationship that we have in the house.
Yeah, I was thinking how difficult it must be for people that have a house or a flat that's a real mix of introverts and extroverts, because in this kind of situation you're going to have people that need the other's energy all the time, and you're going to have people that just need to be alone, and those two things in a situation like this must be really hard to gel.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all about the balance and being honest about it as well. Just saying, I just need some time, and I think everyone should and will understand in this sort of context. It's like, okay, you do you in the best sense.
Yeah,
not in the sarcastic, you do you, girl.
You do you.
And I meditated the other day for like, I sort of, dipped into meditation years ago, but it didn't stick with me. But all of a sudden I felt like compelled to just sit down and meditate for 20 minutes. And it was a bit crazy. Like I find meditation very hard, because I just then end up sitting there and with my eyes closed and thinking about things, and that's not the point of meditation. But it was a good experience.
I've never been able to concentrate whilst meditating ever. I've tried it before and I just sit down and then race through every single thought that it's possible to have.
How about you? Like, what's changed for you? How's your routine?
It's wildly different. I definitely am someone that would spend a lot of time out and about. I like having time to do things that would usually be the last thing on your list. So things like painting or sitting down and just reading. I usually wouldn't get round to those things because there's too much else going on. But to be able to do that stuff guilt-free is really nice, I find.
I agree, yeah.
I've actually got... So I've been reading Letters to the Earth, and the subtitle is Writing to a Planet in Crisis. And it's a compilation of letters and bits of creative writing all about the climate crisis. So it's very up our street. Have you heard of it?
Well, only from you mentioning it, but I hadn't actually heard of it beforehand. So I'm very, very intrigued and excited to hear it.
I'm going to read you the intro because the intro was written by the Queen of the World, Emma Thompson. And, you know, obviously she's a very active player when it comes to the climate crisis. She does a lot with Greenpeace. She was a big feature of Extinction Rebellion's biggest campaigns and protests. I mean, she spends a lot of energy on it. So I'm going to read you this introduction, Simon. It's a bit of lockdown story time for you.
Ah, yes, I'm ready.
Okay. All humans know somewhere deep, somewhere like our spinal cords, somewhere we're not used to communicating with, that our planet is suffering. We know at a cellular level, and it's causing us huge distress. It's like being in a sci-fi story where we come under attack from the Martians, except in this story, we are the Martians, and there's no spaceship out there poised to save us from destruction. But let's remember that because we are the authors of the story, we can also be the authors of what comes next. So many of our inventions, miraculous at the time, steam, gas, coal, planes, cars, smoking, are now the agents of destruction. It's hard to let go of our addictions. So hard. But we must let go. We must, if we and the greater web of life of which we are, after all, only a part, are to survive. I wonder what the best way of helping us understand that is. The IPCC reports, the terrifying documentaries, the relentless roll call of climate disasters spread fearfully essential knowledge and are vital, of course. It goes without saying that we must educate ourselves and see for ourselves what is taking place. But something else needs to happen if our fear and rage and frustration are to succeed in transforming our world. These writings have pulled me back into focus. I can remember how many bees I used to see in parks and gardens in London and on the hills of Argyll. I can remember the variety of butterflies, their miraculous beauty, strength and fragility. I realise how little I now see them and how heartbroken it makes me. I miss them in the visceral way I miss members of my family long since dead. We all need to plug into our love for our home, our planet, our Earth. The astronauts describe it so well. Those people with fiercely trained scientific minds who may not necessarily open themselves to poetic imagination, that might be too dangerous. They suddenly see the vulnerable beauty of our pale blue dot in the reaches of dark space. They feel huge love and empathy for it. And crucially, they feel deeply protective. Art, in all its forms, can turn us all into astronauts. It can help us out of the prison of assumption and the caverns of ignorance, into the atmosphere of clarity and hope. The temptation to panic is very great, but panic will always prevent useful action. I panic regularly about the planet, and then I will often turn to small everyday actions. One of them is to sit and contemplate the beauty of nature, to go to a park and read, and look up every so often at the sky or at a tree, and remind myself that while we are here, we can care for our home. Or I can transform my panic by joining larger actions, like the Extinction Rebellion protest at Oxford Circus, which was so memorable and full of love. Standing on the pink boat, reading Jackie Morris's exquisite anguished lament to the swallow was an extraordinary experience. I looked out over so many faces. Some people, overwhelmed with grief, wept openly. The police came and stood around us, but the atmosphere was surprisingly peaceful. Public moments of sharing, particularly the sharing of art, change the spaces and alter the atmosphere. This can give us vital strength. We must engage in these acts because, make no mistake, the ruling powers will not do enough to alter the course of this terrifying history. We are on our own, and together we'll have to make them. My vision is sometimes blurred by the horror of the millions of deaths our fossil fuel habits have caused, and by the certain knowledge that all of this will continue to get worse until it gets better, because so much of what we have done is irreversible. But in the end, hopelessness serves no purpose. Fighting for everything climate change reversal represents, from the essential B to global social justice, will never offer anything but active hope. We must combine the determined and unstoppable organisation of our best instincts with the vision of astronauts. The wave of change is here. The generation below mine is different. I feel it, and I read it in these letters. They know we've failed them, and instead of wasting time blaming us or even trying to punish us, they simply act. The young do not mind change as much as the old. They are our best hope, and listening to them always makes me feel powerful once again. Plugging into that energy will recharge even the most tired of batteries. Read this book and pass it on. Hand on your passion for the planet to the next person and never, ever give in. Convert your rage to action and your grief to love. I think the planet feels us as we do this. Perhaps it will even help us. Emma Thompson. What a babe.
Wow. This is really, really powerful. I think, yeah.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's so cool.
So it's kind of like a call to arms to not give up.
Yeah, and I think, wow, this is a really, really strong one to choose for this time, actually. Because I think it's so difficult for everyone, but it affects all of us, like globally. And I think that's also why people are so, why they draw this pandemic in with the climate crisis that we're facing and still facing at the moment, and for the next couple of years. And I think we should definitely focus on this crisis right now and get this sorted, and we can all do our bits and stay home and protect not only the NHS, obviously that's very specific to the UK, but globally, help all those people at the front line, all those vulnerable people. I think that's super, super important right now. We have hope that this will, I don't want to say blow over, but like it will pass. We'll get through it. There's something else that we need, that kind of hope. And I think that's also something that we're going to all take away from this, hopefully.
Yes.
We have gotten through this now, and let's not be complacent then, but retain that sense of hope and that sense of responsibility. I think that a lot of people have now, and it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, I hope people take away from this that they are capable of much more than they thought they were, in terms of changing how they live, self-sacrifice, habits, lifestyle. A couple of weeks ago, some people probably would have claimed that giving up on, going shopping every day would have been impossible, for example. But people adapt, and they have adapted for the greater good, and that's amazing. So if after all of this is over, people can shift that attitude to the greater good of the climate, then wow, what a difference we'll see.
Yeah. And to say it with Emma Thompson's words, we are the authors of what's to come next.
Yes, we sure are.
Yeah, I think it's a nice thing to end on. What do you think?
I think so, yeah. Do we want to do an eco-whoop and eco-poop from the comfort of our own homes?
Yes. What's your eco-whoop? What are you whooping this week?
Well, I'm going to purchase some apple cider vinegar to try a tip from one of our earlier episodes that you gave me to substitute conditioner with apple cider vinegar. And I think the lockdown is the perfect opportunity to experiment with that. So come next episode, I'll have some proper feedback on that. That's my eco-whoop.
That is brilliant. Yeah, I think definitely it's so good to experiment now. This is the time, guys, for sure. My eco-whoop is a very general one. It's actually the quietness of the street that I live on. I think I can tell that there's less traffic, and that's in this whole madness. It kind of makes me a little bit happy.
That's lovely. Didn't you say that you had building works going on though?
Yes, I do have building works going on, and that is still going on. Yeah, it's a bit controversial, but is that essential work? Well, I don't know. Well, that's interesting. It's debatable, but But when they stop, it's nice and quiet. Also, you can't really hear it from the living room, and the living room goes out to the high street, and the high street is definitely quieter, and I'm enjoying that, and I can hear the birds.
Nice. Should we do 2 eco-whoops each? Because I feel like we do definitely want to end on a nice positive note for this one, don't we? So eco-poops, we're not going to go there this episode.
Yes.
Maybe.
Sounds good.
Okay, I will do a second eco-whoop, which is gonna be using this time to get really crafty and resourceful with the things that you own, because I suddenly am aware of all the stuff I have. Being at home much more often than usual, I'm looking around and I'm like, what the crap is all of this stuff that I own? Why do I have all of these clothes and art? Because obviously I'm just living in my pajamas at the moment. I don't need all these clothes. So I'm trying to upcycle things and really look at the value of them. Going back to that, what's her name, Marie Kondo, does this spark joy? If not, upcycle it, repurpose it, get it done.
Yeah, that's really lovely. I think my eco-whoop is like a similar thing. I've actually started at building furniture, and not only furniture but also like useful things out of pallets. And I posted something on our social media about that already, but I'm continuing this journey, and it's really good for me because I'm sort of getting back to being crafty, and I really like that. That kind of makes me happy, and it distracts me as well.
Yeah, it's so skilled. I was so impressed when you put that picture online. So if you're listening and you haven't seen it yet, go to our Facebook or Instagram at Green Pretenders and see Simon's pallet wood creation. It's like DIY to the max. It's so impressive. So yeah, go check out Simon's handyman work. And you can also find us on Twitter as well, although I don't think Simon's creations are on there.
Yeah, if you want to reach out to us via email, it's thegreenpretenders@gmail.com.
Yes.
But I think for now that's a goodbye out of isolation for this episode.
Yeah, stay safe, stay calm, stay loving. And remember, the pod is always greener.